What's that?
The anticipation is palpable. I've been home all day. I'm going to go on the prednisone.
That'll do it.
I'm all juiced, the steroids.
Please rise. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prayer.
Sure. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and all that you do for us. Please bless all who are here and help us in making good decisions for our borough. We ask this in your name, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Roll call.
Bob Barlett.
Present.
Scott Gutschall. Lisa Knutson.
Present.
Steve Knutson. Mr. Moore.
Here.
Heavy. Jim Still.
Here. Is there anybody who would like to approach council at this time? You have a 3-minute limit, and it must be related to the agenda items. State your name and your address of where you live in the borough.
I have something I'd like to say.
Sure.
I live in the borough,
We need your name and address first.
Crystal Ray, W-R-A-Y, and I live on West 5th Street.
Okay.
So for the last year, I've been encountering a dilemma with a neighbor who is a rental. And he is not very tidy, there's trash in the yard. A year ago, he got a new girlfriend who is 22 years his junior, who has a mental capacity of an 8-year-old. Yeah, and she had a camper that they brought in the backyard, and they brought it in crooked, and then it wasn't licensed or any of the 3 parts of criteria that you needed to have it. And so they were told that it had to go. And he asked a buddy to remove it, backed it into my fence, to which he did, the landlord did make him pay me to have it fixed. And now they got it licensed again, brought it back in, and I had trees removed last weekend. And I asked Rex, I have been working with Rex and Caitlin, and they have been very good helping. And so last weekend, I asked Rex, and he gave them permission to park it on the street, because where it was parked at the end, I needed the tree trimmer, he needed to put his lift there because the trees were very high. So instead of him doing that, he parked the camper 10 feet from his back door. And come to find out that this camper is roach infested, and he has given my house roaches, and he has given the other house roaches. And his landlord does not stick to the ordinances that are in place. I was told that he was in the eviction process a month ago, and then he went away on vacation and came back, and when he was approached about the eviction process, and he said it hasn't been decided yet. This guy has more money than he knows what to do with. He has a plumbing business, he has a pest control business, and he has been treating this guy's house And in the month of August, they have been there so many times that the pests are coming to my house and the neighbor on the other guy's house. There's not been anything, no kind of communication saying, I'm really sorry that you're anticipating this and this is what's happening. Let me treat your houses for you because I own the business. So now I have to take on an extra expense. The neighbors have to take on an extra expense, which they can't afford, so they're gonna suffer with it. And he was told, and another thing, they put gas lines in on his house instead of the oil. And the guy that did it noticed that his dogs defecated the floors throughout the house. And he had to rip out the floors. And so when they moved the camper in the second time, they've been living in this camper. So a week and a half ago, I had Terminex come to my house to treat my house, and when they looked out the back door, saw the camper, she said, there's roaches on those curtains. So, last weekend, they moved the camper out, but my whole point of this is, if the landlord decides that he is not gonna evict him and let him come back in after the renovations, I know without a doubt that he will bring that camper back in because he will compensate to whatever she asks. Because when I said take it to the street, she didn't want it to the street, she wanted it in the yard, and he listened to her. He will do whatever she asks. I don't feel that I have to keep tolerating and treating roaches when there is, as far as I know, there's not a rental ordinance in place. And I was wondering if there is going to be, or what the status of it is. I'll just tell you what my thoughts are. But for a renter, if they have a camper, I hate to penalize somebody in the borough that actually has a camper that takes it out camping. But shouldn't it be under some sort of a pavilion or something? And I have, in the last few years, researched my deed, and it seems like a lot of the properties are the same size. So instead of taking away from the dimensions of your property, couldn't there be something in place that has to specifically say about campers and what an ordinance and restriction of them are, instead of people that actually own their homes have to tolerate something like this from a renter?
So there is a meeting coming up in October with the rental agreement or ordinance that we're working on currently. If you would like to attend that meeting, you're certainly welcome. It'll be down at the rec building. It'll be on Thursday, the 17th of October.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else would like to address council? All right, we'll move on to consent agenda. Does anybody like to pull anything out of the consent agenda for discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Borough manager.
Okay, just a couple things to go over. The first thing being the police contract. We have come to a tentative agreement with the police department for the 2025-2027 contract, and it's going to go to the union for voting on Wednesday, October 2nd. So the second thing is the pool study. We finally got the reporting in, and we are now just waiting for our $15,000 grant reimbursement from DCNR. That's in the works. We should be seeing that rather soon now. The stats for the pool for this year are still being finalized. There's still some expenses coming in and money coming in. So the CDBG funds received for a Southside paving project. We received the $21,785. That was 3 years worth of funding. So we did just receive that from the county, which that closes the project finally. That project started at the beginning of 2023, and that finally is the last step of it. So the final cost, it was approved at $527,192, but the actual cost came in $583,146. So out of the borough's pocket, we received CDBG money and we received county state liquid fuel money. Out of the borough pocket, state liquid fuel money was $209,265 in the end. So we received our fire relief funds for the year, It's $37,146.77, and we pay that right back out to the Volunteer Fire Relief Association. We also received our MMO, our pension funding, that's $306,984.02. That again, we just pass that right through. It'll go out to the PA Municipal Retirement Fund, and I'll be paying both of those out within the next month. The ARPA funds are now depleted. We have one more payment that needs to go out to FAME for the end of the year. I just wanted to, show this. This is where the funding lied. It was $850,437.34. That's all the funds. We have one more small payment that'll come out for FAME's fourth quarter allocation, and then so this is where all the funding fell for all the ARPA money. Okay, so we have the digester, the sludge removal is complete. I know we've talked about that before. They had given us some pictures of some things. This is, okay, yeah.
So Lucas, is this all cleaned out at this point?
It is, yes. This was what once I got everything down, this was the last little bit. That last shot was actually the sludge ball of whatever it was. It was pretty much rock hard that they weren't even able to shovel it out. They had to get their jetter in there with the pressure washer, just try and liquefy that as much as they could. So that there is really what clogged the digester. I think this is the second time in about 7 or 8 years. Something's obviously not circulating quite properly with the digester flow system in getting the solids in the septic back into the tank for circulation. So we'll talk a little bit more about the next step for the digester project down under the new business there.
Thank you.
Yes, it is cleaned and pressure washed and waiting.
Should be a picture in that folder showing the completed work. I think it's the last one on the file. I can't see it very well from here. The workers call that last little bit the igloo. I like terminologies, but yeah, there's the final product of everything being completely cleaned out. But that last large ball of heavy material, they had nicknamed that the igloo because it was just like an igloo. They had to really break it up. So that's the final product.
So a quick question, maybe you'll cover this in me, but what are we doing moving into winter since this is not going to be back online and covered? How are we going to keep this stuff from obtaining water and freezing and?
The precipitation that's going to come through the winter should not do any damage to that. There's no water in the piping that would damage the piping. So we wouldn't anticipate that any detrimental impacts would occur during the winter by leaving it as it is.
Okay.
So
A little bit of financial history then. The bid price was $597,500. They did credit the borough $150,000 because they did not dispose of the material off-site. They worked out an agreement with the staff to put the material in the drying beds. So somewhere down the road, you're still going to have some expense associated with the disposal of that material because it will take a number of months for it to dry out and be handled. But they did credit $150,000 for the activity that was not associated with hauling the material off-site. Okay.
So our cost came in, it was $80,000 to remove the roof, and then the sludge removal was $367,500. So the total cost so far, we're at $447,500. And I'm gonna be asking for approval to pay that invoice here in a couple minutes. Anything else for that?
Good there.
Okay. I just wanted to give an update on the Bonton parking lot is being paved this week. The costs are coming in are around $134,000. And there's $136,000 funding available in the parking authority bank account, so. And that is anticipated to be done by the end of the week, maybe?
Yeah, so just a brief update. Obviously with the rain of the last 2 days and what's expected tomorrow, they are not going to be able to pave just because you don't want the asphalt to cool too quickly. As well as the fact that the Hall Baker Quarry in Nagney is anticipated to be shut down by Penelec for an electrical upgrade. So as soon as that gets done, so they have wrapped everything up for the week. We will take the cones down in the morning, and the parking lot will be open Thursday and Friday. We unfortunately have pushed the finished paving to next Monday, and then the line painting Tuesday morning. So we've sent out notification to the neighboring business owners, updating them of the new schedule.
Okay, I just wanted to give we have our county loan that we'll be using to pay for the treatment plant expenses, but we had discussed about the fire truck expense coming up, but we cannot use that loan for the fire truck. I just wanted to point that out. It would be a separate loan. I noted the loggers and the shark fins, or the floatar, are being installed this week. Is that happening? You know.
About 50% done. It'll be done by Monday.
Okay. And then we had also discussed last council meeting, there was an issue with the Valley and Center Avenue runoff, and Tyler just wanted to give an update.
We monitored the rain for a couple rains after that resident had came in. It came to find out his downspout was coming and shooting right into where the runoff was. He diverted his runoff to the street, and we've had no issues since. So it was an easy fix.
Amazing. Anything else?
That's all I got for now.
Fire chief.
City responded to 29 calls for service, 19 in town, 10 out of town, 3 fires, 5 local alarms, 5 automatic fire alarms, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 3 medical, 1 carbon monoxide, 2 rescue assignments, 4 public service, 1 water rescue, 1 transfer, and 1 brush fire. Heritage also responded to 29 calls for service, 23 in town, 6 out of town, 5 fires, 5 local alarms, 3 automatic fire alarms, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 6 medicals, 1 carbon monoxide, 1 rescue assignment, public service calls 3, water rescue 1, and transfer assignment 1. I was talking to Rex and Caitlin yesterday. I talked with Caitlin again tonight. We're going to sit down. We have some things to hash out so we can get this inspection thing fired up in January. There's some things that we have to take care of and discuss and get our ducks in a row before we can go out and get that taken care of. On codes, I would like to propose to council, with council's approval, that there's times when I need codes at a call and they may get hung up in traffic, or fire police say, where are you going, you know. I would like to get some kind of emergency light in their vehicle. What is the feeling of council on that?
Well,
Not to run necessarily to the call, but once they get there so they can at least be identified that they need to be there.
Sure. I'd be okay with that. We can get them some type of a dash light or whatever, fairly cheap for a couple $100. I know there is a need for them at the scene at times, and the quicker they get there, sometimes the better.
I prefer red.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and purchase codes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay, thank you. And then I have another thing I was going to present tonight, but I'm still waiting some final things. I'm in the process of getting a department patch made. Each station has their patch, 14 has their patch, 32 has their patch. Mr. Bartlett had tried before, whenever we had the 3 stations, but it all comes down to, they both are representatives of the Lewistown Fire Department. And I would like to have a Lewistown Fire Department patch. I did have pictures I was gonna bring up, but I'm still waiting on some things. The last quote that I got, we changed the colors a little bit, so I don't know if it's gonna change any. But the last quote I got was like $350 a patch. And my liking with borough approval is I would like to get 100 of them and distribute at least to the active firefighters, one for the extra, then we can sell them. But I'm still waiting on some final things for that, to get that taken care of. But I just myself, you know, it's nice, each station has their own patch, but they represent the Lewistown Fire Department, and I would like to have one patch. It will say City and Heritage on it, and then it would also have the town monument in the center. So that's something that I'm working on.
Keep us posted.
I will, yeah, I'm waiting on the final stuff. I just wanted to mention it because I don't have anything, final details to give you yet. And my last thing is something that when Mr. Bartlett was a chief, he tried to get initiated, and we also tried previous, and we were still getting some feedback, and not good feedback, from Mr. Lukens. I would still like to change the designation of the chief and deputy chief from battalion chief to chief and deputy chief. Phil thinks that the county system does not even recognize a chief officer, you know, on the CAD system. So he thinks that we're going to be changing numbers, which we're not, as far as station numbers. It's still going to stay the same. It's still going to be 32. It's still going to be 14. I would just like to have the designation because, you know, he's been around the service a long time, but I know Mr. Bartlett knows, but a battalion chief is one step higher than a captain. Goes battalion assistants, deputies, and so on. A battalion chief is responsible for multiple stations, but now that we're down to 2, I would just like to get that done. So at some point, I would like for council to send county a letter again stating if we have to sit down, I'd be more than glad to sit down. I really don't want to sit down with him, but I will. And I would, you know, I had the support from council before, and I'd just like to get that changed if we could at some point.
That's something your staff can do. Can you get it out?
Well, how about we send a letter out first, if we don't get any progress from that, then let's see.
Well, we did send out, and I didn't even actually get a response back from Phil. It came back from a secretary stating that he's not in favor of it, but what he doesn't understand.
I mean, did that letter come from council, or did it come from?
The council, I think Kim sent it, and then we got a response back.
Okay.
But the thing that I'm not understanding to me is, yeah, I realize they run the comm center, okay? But we don't work for them, they work for us. So, you know, if we have to get commissioners involved, I'm not afraid to drag people in also, you know? But.
I know what he's going through. I tried to do the same thing, and I had some backlash. But I'm in favor of whatever we can do to support this. We should go ahead and support it.
We'll talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, I'd like to, you know.
See if we can get something set up.
All right. Thank you. Any
Thank
questions
you.
for me?
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Great job so far. Mayor's not here, but I guess, Dave, you're gonna handle her
Yeah,
report?
she asked us to make sure that these agenda items were covered. She had a medical emergency in the family today and couldn't make it. But the first item under her is the police station building. We have toured the MCMA building on Chestnut Street. I know we've toured it several times, and I think last time Scott was with us, and Lucas. So at this point, we feel it's in council's hands to maybe reach out to MCMA and maybe have a meeting with them to discuss a possible price for the building. We are still researching renovation costs, and Lucas is doing that. We don't really want to put any numbers out there yet till we have, some more definitive things on that, but we've researched a lot of different options over the last few years, and this seems like the most viable option at this point. So we'd like to ask council to maybe proceed with reaching out to MCMA about that. It's something that could be done here in the near future.
Yeah.
Second thing, trick or treating. She said she did reach out to the other municipalities, and everyone seems to be in agreement October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. So I guess that will have to be approved by council for the trick or treating night.
Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
And this third thing, Keystone Municipal Solutions, I believe that's Mr. Saylor. If you want to address council and explain, I really have no idea what that is, but I understand it's something to do with borough manager position and some so.
Well, good evening, members of council, good evening, members of the public. My name is Chad Saylor. I used to be somebody. I'm a former Dauphin County Commissioner. Before that, I was the chief clerk for the county for about 15 years. And I currently serve as executive director of Keystone Municipal Solutions. It's a consulting group, and we're part of the McNeese Wallace & Nurick law firm based in Harrisburg. McNeese has a number of municipal clients around the state, and from time to time it would happen that something would happen, a manager would leave or a finance director would leave, something, some issue would come up, and they'd turn to their solicitor and say, what can we do to help? And McNeese wanted to be in a position to say, we've got folks that can help you. So they put together Keystone Municipal Solutions, and we help with recruiting. We provide interim staff solutions. We also are involved with a state program you may be familiar with. It's called Strategic Management Planning. I have information about the kind of things that we do, more information in the packets before you. What the mayor had talked to me about was the issue of a manager. And I don't need to tell you guys, recruiting managers is very difficult these days. You guys are very fortunate. I understand you found one. But we are seeing that as municipalities grow, demand for service grows, police, fire, you heard about the problems with the septic and zoning and all the issues that you guys have to deal with require staff. And staff needs to be managed. The demands for managers are growing, but the number of people that are getting into local government service is not. And so it really creates a situation where you're looking and looking and looking and looking to try and find someone to work for you. And in a lot of different capacities, not just manager. But what the mayor talked to me about was, so the interim manager program that we have, usually what happens is a manager leaves suddenly, or some situation where you no longer have a manager, you need someone to come in and kind of operate things while you search for a new manager. And I have, part of our team, a number of retired managers, managers that have kind of gone into consulting, that are willing to serve in this capacity. And so what the mayor had talked to me about was that your new manager potentially coming on could use some assistance, a seasoned hand, I guess, to kind of help with the transition. And I do have some resources available that could fill that role. Retired manager, actually from Dauphin County, Swedera Township, suburban Harrisburg, who might be available to do this. So she asked me to come here and kind of explain a little bit about what we do and how we operate. I don't know if you guys have any questions about what I've laid out. If there's anything specific that you need to know about how we do things. We usually, an interim manager, once they're placed, they will, we require them to provide regular periodic reports as to their activities. Obviously, this is going to be a slightly different situation than the norm, in that this person is not going to be necessarily serving as manager, but assisting the manager. So there would have to be some discussion as to how that would work. But if you guys are interested, I think we've got someone that might be a good fit here, and be happy to discuss that more.
Does the personnel committee, got people have any questions at this time for him?
We'll have to talk about it.
Understood.
It's the first I've ever heard of it. We'll have to see if the new manager needs some help. So, we can't say anything right now.
I wasn't expecting that, and I appreciate the opportunity just to talk about KMS, make you guys aware of our services. Again, depending on what the needs of the new manager is, certainly we can help them with all the requirements and rules. You can certainly take a look at your operations and see if there's recommendations that they may make. So there's a number of different things, depending on what you want to do. And I think that's another important thing, that you guys would be in the driver's seat with these arrangements in terms of what the interim did, how many hours the interim would work, and so you guys would be in the driver's seat of that arrangement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
Do you have anything else, Dave?
Not for the mayor, just for my report then. For my report, the stats for August, we had 388 calls for service, 37 traffic citations issued, 23 non-traffic, 30 written warnings, 4 DUI arrests. Parking tickets were 196 meter and other violations, 450 for street maintenance. Total revenue of $8,700 as far as tickets written. Collected was $6,050 for the month of August. For the narcotics investigators report, we had 5 active investigations, 5 new investigations, 3 undercover buys, 4 felony arrests, 3 misdemeanor arrests, 4 search warrants, approximately 4 grams of heroin or fentanyl, seized 35 grams of methamphetamine, and $100 in cash was seized. I don't know if you want me to cover the tables, that's down in new business.
You can wait then.
I want to cover that now. And I would ask that also, I just got this at the last minute this afternoon, to add to the agenda, if we would, for the purchase of 2 evidence computers, and that's under the accreditation grant, we covered under that, but the amount is $9,988, so we'll need council approval for that. If we could add that to the agenda, I appreciate it. That's all I have for now.
Is that what the other computers?
Evidence, yeah, the evidence room for the accreditation grant.
Anything else for the police chief? Or solicitor? Yeah, you want to vote on that now, or you want to move it down to new business? The purchase of the computers.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it.
I'll have a motion to amend the.
Throughout the
Oh, wait,
ad.
so we need an amendment, yeah, motion to amend the agenda,
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now I entertain a motion for the,
Evidence computer.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the funds for the evidence computers out of the accreditation grant.
A second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you.
See
So you have in front of you two proposed ordinance amendments that came through the Law and Ordinance Committee. The omnibus ordinance amendments, I'm just looking for authority to advertise this. It has here, a number of kind of like small issues that have just accumulated over time and need to be addressed. Section 1 changes the drainage and pool water from the stormwater system to the sanitary system. That's a DEP initiative. Section 2 has to do with the Disabled American Veterans Van parking space near the courthouse. Section 3 changes the meeting time of the Planning Commission. Section 4 and 5 get rid of chapters that aren't used. Section 6 has to do with basically changing responsibility for these special parking permits for like clergy or delivery people from the police chief to the borough manager. And let's see, Section 7 has to do with parking meter covers. That, just like the parking or the things are given to the borough manager rather than the police chief. Section 8 has to do with food trucks and food trailers. It essentially accepts them from needing to get a transient business license. So basically they wouldn't have to get a transient business license every time they wanted to sell food in the borough. And those are all just kind of changes that have come to our attention over time, and we're looking to make them all at one time, all those changes at once. So if anyone has any questions, or if you want to make a motion to authorize it to be advertised for the October meeting.
I make a motion to advertise.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The Chapter 30 ordinance amendments is in front of you. It's changing the things to do with the manager. It's changing the residency requirements to get rid of Mifflin County, so the manager would have to be a Pennsylvania resident, but not necessarily a county resident. And there's some changes to the section having to do with the relationship of borough council to borough employees.
How does council want to act on this?
This is another just advertise. I'll probably, if this is approved, just make it one big advertisement. It'll save you a couple $100.
I'll make a motion to approve the advertise.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Unfinished and new business, I guess I turn it over to you, Summer.
First thing on there is just to pay for the removal of the sludge. The invoice was $367,500. I would like to pay for that out of the wastewater treatment capital fund, and then then I would pass it. I have to pay for it first and then pass it over to the county loan to be reimbursed by them for the county, towards the county loan.
Need a motion on that, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the thing.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next thing is the digester repairs. So Eads has some information on that.
Lucas and I think we're gonna tag team a little bit on this one tonight. Had some very late breaking information come in that's contained in the engineer's report that you have, not by slide, but on the, written in engineer's report. So as we've been talking, we're gonna walk through the various phases now with the digester project. Phase 1 is complete. So the USG contract, as we said before, was $597,500. They credited you $150,000, and I'm on number 3, miscellaneous to the engineer's report. So the USG to date is $447,500 total. Now they're done The engineering involved so far is $38,762.50. Detailed there through the inclusion of some fees that were done during September for the study and report that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So the total project cost as of today is $486,262.50. And as I interrupted before, that doesn't include the sludge disposal that's sitting in the drying beds waiting to be hauled out later. Okay? So now we're at some decision points with respect to phase 2. We can continue into phase 2, which is basically put the roof back on. The digester is useless without a new roof on it. We had to take the roof off prematurely because of the blockage in the pipes. That was the only way to get inside the tank to repair the blockage of the pipes. And you saw the video of the things that were in there. So if we wanted to go into phase 2 exclusively and just stop at a new roof, we would estimate another $500,000 to put the roof on, with $12,500 in engineering fees to administer that project, bringing the total project cost just under $1 million. And I think this is in line with what we had quoted early on when we started the project. Now, I apologize because last month I stated to you we were going to bring a contract for the roof. Shortly after that meeting, staff and I and some members of the finance committee got together and we said, let's postpone the bids on the roof until we investigate some other issues that could make the anaerobic digester operate better. Because we found a blockage in the pipes. We didn't find any major damage to the pipes. The tank's in really great shape, all things considered. The unfortunate thing is there's a little bit of leakage around the bottom of the tank. We saw that while the tank was still full of water, and you saw a little bit of seepage. So that was causing a little bit of concern. Phase 2 consideration is to consider the relining of the inside of the tank with a structural grade microfiber reinforced epoxy. Basically a very good solids, heavy solids paint to do some preventive maintenance on the inside of the tank before we put the roof on it. We've been soliciting some quotes from the folks from USG that could do this for you under a change order. We would be estimating that to be about $190,000. We got a quote from them that omitted a few things, so we bumped it up from their quote to $190,000 to coat the inside of the tank now that it's nice and clean, and basically would extend the life of the tank. So that's a subject for consideration by the council tonight. Total project cost on a change order then would be about $192,500 if you wanted to coat the inside of the tank before we put the roof on and put it back in service. Also, the activity we considered was, how are we getting this large buildup of material? Like I spoke before, the folks from USG called it an igloo. This is not the first time that this big ball of material has been encountered. It was encountered in 2005 when the digester project was completed again. So you got about 16 years out of the digester. You took the roof off prematurely because of this big block of material that's inside there. So we began looking at discussing some alternatives as how to keep that from happening in the future and extend the life of the roof. So what we decided to recommend and consider is an in-tank chopper pump and mixing system. I don't know if you have that brochure handy, Summer, to briefly give a picture of the nozzles. We basically put a nozzle system inside the tank. It's a system called Rotomix. We would put the nozzle system inside the tank and a chopper pump exterior to the tank to allow the staff to basically much more aggressively mix the tank. This system is going to come with a price tag. The piping there would be very similar to what we would be doing in your digester. This particular system has many, many applications. We found this through a market survey of expected equipment to break up that big ball of material and extend the life so that we don't have to do this again in another 16 years or even shorter. So again, back to costs. That particular system, we are estimating at another $486,262.
Okay, where's that?
No, you're,
I'm sorry.
250.
Well, yeah, the system is 250 on top of the roof.
Right,
So
right.
this is a system that would be added before we put the roof on there. So the installation of this would be another $250,000 as part of a project.
So the main part of this would be external?
Yes, the pump would be external.
Okay.
Yep, the
So-
nozzle system would go inside, you'd never see it again, quite honestly.
Right,
And it's pretty much maintenance free, the nozzles. system?
Yeah, the nozzles are just
Okay.
glass-lined ductile iron piping that would just be installed inside the tank before you put the roof on. And that's why we're considering this, because once you put the roof on, we're not gonna have access again.
Right, right.
So if that was a consideration of council to extend the life of the roof for the next go-round, this system would be suggested and need to be installed before we put the roof on, obviously. So on the back of our engineer's report, we would summarize then back to the total project cost with everything, with the Cadillac version at this point. The cost to date is $486. The interior tank lining would be another $192,000 under a change order to USG. In the new roof and the supplemental in-tank mixing system would be $787,500, bringing the total project cost to $1,466,000. So,
Have these systems been put in before, and are they working?
pardon me?
Has it been put in before? And do they
We're
work
not the
another-
guinea pig, right? This is approving,
The nozzle mixing systems?
yeah.
Yeah, they're common in a lot of digesters. That comes actually from the agricultural industry.
Yeah.
You see a lot of manure handling systems, slurry systems. You'll see a chopper pump in that liquefied manure handling system, and it's very similar to that. So it's not an experimental system at all. The Vaughan system has hundreds of installations out there, so it's a reputable system that comes out of Washington.
Is the leakage a very high concern?
I would have to make it medium to high, yeah, on a concern level. The leakage is not it's not gonna go away.
Right, I understand
So
that.
now's the time to address it. with-
And that's
with
something
the-
that can't be handled on the outside of the tank.
That's not the best way to handle
Is
it.
that addressed in this $1,466,000?
That would
It is, yes.
Okay, fixing the
Yep.
leak, okay.
Yep. And that's, you have a concrete tank that has the caustic gases and sludge in it, and it's just slowly eating away at the insides of the concrete tank, and it's been in there for, well, this roof was 16 years, and digester one was quite a few years before that, so.
So is there any, the tank coating, is there any guarantee on this? Is there stuff that we can use, can't use, that will break it down, that we are
I would
using?
have to get more involved in it. I'm sure there's some kind of a warranty, whether it's gonna be a 20-year warranty, that would be doubtful, but I'm sure there's some kind of warranty to it.
I'd be interested to see, is there anything that can break this membrane down or break this after, is there stuff that we're using, we shouldn't be using after we put the liner in there, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, there was deep consideration on what type of material to put on this, and that was part of the discussion. I think Zeke will refer to, we initially had a quote of about $65,000, and that changed between lunchtime today from 65 to 192 because of the type of material that was recommended.
Okay.
It's a Tennemic, the manufacturer is Tennemic, and like I used some key words there, structural grade microfiber reinforced epoxy, and there was a few more words there that I omitted, so it's a really good product, and we can give you more information, and we can still study that before you act on it if you.
You think that'll fix the leak?
Yeah. So those are, that's the
How long is it
the
gonna?
upgrades.
You mentioned that it would potentially lengthen the lifespan of the tank.
Oh, yeah.
What, like, do you have, like, can you give us, like, X number of years to X number of years difference?
How old's the tank now? Do you know how old the tank is now?
Well, they put it in when I was on council.
It's,
20.
Is that from the 90s, 80s, 90s?
so we're already into 30 years. You know, a tank that size is, you know, has a 50-year life expectancy to it. At this point, I would think you're going to get another 15 to 20 for sure, on top of the 50 that it's already
But with the leak, if we don't do the membrane, then what?
50 years. You're going to stop. You're probably going to be at 50 years.
So it's gonna be the same 15 to 20?
No.
Above and beyond the.
Above-
Oh, you're saying 20 more on
Yeah,
top
you're already
of it?
30 years into it.
Okay,
You're already 30 years into a 50-year life cycle.
so you're looking at 40
You're
more
gonna
years?
get another 15 to 20 out of it.
Yep.
Okay.
With that, if you do the relining. If you don't, you'll be done in 20. Otherwise, you're going out 35 to 40.
Okay, that makes it a lot more.
So those are the options for the council to consider before you put the roof on, which still remains as an option just to go ahead and put the roof on. And we found all the existing equipment intact. Like I said, the photos did a wonderful job of explaining the pipes are not broke. There was very little corrosion in there. It was just that big ball of material. And when the staff met 2 or 3 weeks ago, we've seen this across the industry. I'm not going to lie. COVID brought forth all the disposable handy wipes that have Lysol and disinfecting material, and those have become a disposable product. You're really focused on extending the life of the roof. If the big ball of material is going to allow to continue to develop again, it's probably going to be shorter than 16 years. You're probably going to be in a 10-year life cycle before you have to remove the roof again. I call it like building a snowball. There's 2 8-inch pipes that bring the material into the recirculation pumps. As soon as you get a material larger than an 8-inch diameter, it doesn't come into the pipe to be ground up anymore. So it just continues to build and build and build. And the advent of the disposable wipes and things of that nature that takes so long to degrade, or they may not even be biodegradable. A lot of stuff is not even biodegradable, but it ends up in our sewer systems. So the life expectancy on the next roof is going to be even shorter if you don't try to augment the grinding system and the mixing system. So that's what we're trying to do with the supplemental mixing system, is to basically break that down and shoot it to the walls. The nozzle mixing system will shoot that material to the walls as opposed to just an up and down in the center column that occurs now. There's very little mixing up and down. The nozzle mixing system will actually spray it and extend the life of that material. So
really what we're waiting on is some finalized quotes for the lining and the choppers.
these are pretty close to final.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
These are pretty close to,
They're here to ask if you will allow them to put it up as a bid.
the only thing we're waiting for, and I've made the assumption in this, is the need for a Part 2 permit from the DEP. So the engineering that's involved with putting this in, I'm anticipating is going to need the application to the DEP for a Part 2 permit to change the operation of the anaerobic digester. So that's where a lot of the engineering is going to go into, the need for a Part 2 permit. I've reached out to those folks and I don't have an answer yet on the need for a permit. Okay?
So you feel that's the only extra cost it might be if we...
It's already built into these numbers.
All right.
It's already built into these numbers. So I feel very comfortable with the 1.466 if you so chose to do everything that's available to you now. Or stop and put a roof on it.
So what's council's wishes?
I'm in favor of going to 1,466. That'll extend the life, what would you say,
15 to
30-some
20?
years?
On top of
Yeah,
the
another
At least
15 or 20.
15 or
15 to
20?
20 years, yeah.
And it should extend the buildup on the inside, so we're not going back in and taking the roof off prematurely over the life of the roof, so. Yep.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It fixes the problem.
Yeah.
Zeke, you have anything yet?
The only other thing I add is if, by doing this too, if we had an issue down the road, we'd be able to drain the tank, which we did not have that option now.
Yeah.
We'd
Yeah,
be
that
able
was-
to hook right to the pump, straight to the drive edge ourselves. So that gives us that option also.
We would basically be constructing a, I'll call it a 12 by 16 shed adjacent to the anaerobic digester to house a single pump. We're not planning two pumps, a single pump to bring the sludge in, grind it up, put it back in. So we would build a small 12 by 16, 12 by 20 shed, if you would, onto the digester to accommodate the installation of the chopper pump. And then we'd have some electrical upgrades to bring power to that site. So that's the,
So that's gonna add on, the shed and the.
That's
they're already
building.
in there, they're already in these costs.
Yep.
So the pumps and the nozzle mixing, I'm glad you're bringing these questions up. The pump and the nozzle mixing system is estimated at about $80,000. But you can't, you gotta have the rest of the system, you gotta have some
Right.
valves and obviously the power and the controls and things of that nature. So, the 80,000 is a component of the 250,000 that's in here.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll make a motion to put it out for bid with the said proposals.
We'll move ahead then on getting,
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you, we'll be moving.
You might not wanna sit down.
That's to send it out to bid.
Yes.
That's the same after bid, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Next thing is the storm line hammering, about putting that out to bid for the Edgewater. You wanna stand right back up on that one? Do you wanna talk about that?
It's on the agenda.
I don't have a quote back yet from the storm sewer televising.
Well, they were voting to, did you put it out to bid?
I don't have a request in yet.
No, we didn't put out the bid yet.
They're here to,
It would be done by quote, we
Yeah.
anticipate doing that by quote, right?
yeah. So where we're asking, they're asking council to vote to allow it to go out to get quotes.
Yeah, and this would be in the Edgewater district, everything flows to the pump station there at the Nittany Minute Mark. And the idea is, we've done some field inspection, we did the smoke and dye testing. There's obviously, with the meters that we had put in, those pumps, that's the first set of meters we put in. When it rains, it's spiking 7 to 10 times as much flows into that system as against dry conditions. So there's obviously some infiltration, some inflow somewhere. So really to isolate this, it's sort of stage one of the camera system, of the requirement from DEP, where we've talked, we have to map the sewer system and we have to map the storm system. And we need to investigate the condition of all of those lines throughout the borough. So sort of step one is that Edgewater, it's sort of an isolated region. We have good data on that. And I think the idea at the last workshop was to take that area, go out, and get it professionally cleaned and televised, both the sanitary and the storm drains, and see if we can't find any misconnections, storm inlets that might be in the system, and really, fine tune that region and sort of get some updated data as to what we might find out there. So we're putting some cost estimates together of what we think it should be, and if you guys would like us to, we can just put that out on the street and get some official quotes.
No, this would be wastewater collections, which we do not have any funding in wastewater collections, so it would come from the loan, which still don't know how we'd pay that back, but also it would come out of general fund.
No, this is something we have to do, right? For DEP.
Yes, we are gonna have to investigate the entire system, so this is really phase one of that part. Yep.
This is storm, it's not collections.
Yes,
This will be coming out of storm,
Uh-huh.
it's not out of the collection department,
yeah.
like the funds.
General fund.
What's the council wanna do? Put it out to bid?
I'll make a motion to put it out to bid.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? $24.
Okay, the, Seco's requesting we had a 2024 budget item for the wastewater treatment plant. It was a sampler that they had requested, and it had been passed to, with the budget of 2024, and he hasn't purchased it yet, and he was just asking permission to purchase the sampler. It's at $10,000. It would come out of the wastewater treatment capital. That's where it was budgeted for 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then there's a centrifuge, is that how you say, repair, $6,710.35. Zeke, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, we have two centrifuges, and we just got the one fixed, the other one broke. The one computer part that runs the main drive, I got two estimates. One was to fix what we have or replace it, and to replace it's over twice to what fixing it is. So that's why I wanted to go with getting a company up here with the new boards and have them fix it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to point out the Halloween parade, it's tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, October 23rd. We have not received any
official?
paperwork yet in order for the,
I sent her an email Monday, she never responded.
but I'm
And I think we
seeing,
need 2 weeks for
For
PennDOT.
PennDOT.
Yeah, at least.
I was just seeing some chatter, so I thought I'd put it out there because I know people start asking
Yep.
about it. So we have a handicapped,
Okay.
You could provisionally approve it tonight, pending approval from PennDOT. That way you wouldn't have to worry about it at the beginning of October, since we're only a few weeks away from it. That's your choice, just pointing it out.
We had to make a motion, we go ahead and approve it, pending on the proper paperwork and permits.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Can somebody follow, I mean, I know you did, can we
I will.
follow?
She's my neighbor.
She's your neighbor, okay, thank you.
so we have a handicap space removal request for 41 Pennebaker Avenue. The resident states that they requested to have a handicap space in front of their home several years ago because of a handicapped mother residing there. The mother has passed, and they want to just remove the spot.
Motion to do so?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then we also have a handicap space request for 231 Logan Street. So this is where the request is being made for. There is 2 handicap spots. This is the back of the house. Let me just- here. There are 2 handicap spots already there, one on each side of the street. Right here where I put my little blue dot is where the new request is for. It would basically be 2 houses up. So there'd be 3, yeah, one on each side, and then
Does she have parking in the rear also?
so that is that's the existing parking spot there, and there's another one over there. There's Rex up there standing on the spot. You can see him. There
There's
the other
also
one would be,
one,
and then
two
this is the
spaces
back.
behind Rex.
What's that, Peyton?
There's also a handicap spot, 2 spaces behind Rex.
Going towards the,
Yes, going towards like town.
And and then this is the back side.
But
There
in
is
the-
parking in the back, they requested because they said that it doesn't always get plowed, snow removal.
In the back, it's like a dead-end alley, it's an old paper alley, so the borough does not maintain it. It's on the property owners in that area to maintain.
What's council wanna do?
I say we approve it, since you can't park in the back.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
The parking authority rent, the 2024 rent, the contract is up at the end of this year, and so I'm just asking approval to pay the borough's rent to the parking authority account, the $12,300.
What's the status of the parking authority abolishment?
I started to draft like a asset purchase agreement, so that'll just have to get finalized and agreed upon by everybody.
So you're gonna have it done by the end of the year,
I imagine, yeah.
but if we pay it, we'll get it back.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
probably spend it on the project they're doing now.
I don't think we should pay it.
Well, we have to pay it, when it wasn't paid prior to me being here, that was part of our audit that we got
Okay.
stung on that.
I'll
because
make a
we have to pay
motion
the
to
meter.
pay it.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay.
The pension, I just need approval for the distribution of the pension funds. It's every year. We have to put together the paperwork to pay to our pensions. I think you have it in front of you there. It's just a letter that I have to give you and then ask for approval to move the funding to the pension.
Motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Easy come, easy go.
Amazing. Let's look right through. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I did say about how much we were getting at the front of this, right? You know, giving it out. The speed bumps. So, at the North Plaza Drive, they're asking if we could put in, who's gonna pay for that? Do you know, Tyler?
Tyler, do you have any?
We're paying for
Yeah.
2 speed bumps they would like to put in for that parking lot.
Yeah, they'd be removable, so in the winter, we can pull them out for plowing purposes, but then obviously put them back.
So Dyson's requesting it, but they don't wanna help finance it.
I don't know if our communication came from the county.
Mine did as well, but
I got nothing
from
directly from Geisinger saying that they had requested them.
Commissioner Wise who contacted me, but he was
After the
contacted after the person got hit.
Yeah.
But he was contacted by Geisinger.
Okay.
Has anybody reached out to Geisinger?
I had no contact, so, I mean, I could do that, I mean, I could.
I think we should do that before we,
That's fine, yeah.
is council okay with that?
Well, North Plaza Drive is our responsibility though. I'm not sure. Why does that fall on Geisinger?
Well, they're the ones that requested it to slow the traffic down on their driveway.
It's probably needed though.
I mean, what happened? What
Apparently,
precipitated?
one of their pedestrians got hit.
And the cost is not to exceed 500. I make a motion that we pay for it.
I agree.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Domestic Violence Awareness Month is October. The Abuse Network is asking to put purple flags around the fountain and the purple lights on the fountain as they have in the past.
Make a motion, we allow it.
Second?
Second.
Opposed, or, I'm sorry, all in favor? Opposed?
October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Central PA, they're asking to put the pink ribbons on the meters.
Make a motion, we allow it.
Second?
Second.
Motion? I'm sorry. All in favor?
And the police department is requesting, they also had a 2024 budget item for tasers. It was actually for 3 tasers at $7,000, and got a quote for 4 tasers at $7,019.73, so the police department's requesting to be able to purchase that.
Make a move. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Okay, then everybody wants to use their budget items. So the 2024 budget item for the The refuse department was a garbage truck. We had said about pushing that back toward till the end of this year because of waiting to see where our funds land, and the budgeted amount was $156,000. They got the quotes in, and it's actually coming in at $234,000. So the request is, though, if they said it'll take how many, like 2 years, it won't even.
Yeah, so when they quoted it, so the original 156 was for a Viper packer, and since the whole COVID thing, they have eliminated that line, and now they are running what they call, I think, a Cobra packer. So it's a little bigger, costs more money, but the chassis part was a 2026 chassis that they had quoted us because they're that far out on making it. So we don't even expect the chassis till the close to the end of 2025, and then it has to go to A&H to have the body put on. So we're like way 2025, beginning of 2026 for this to arrive. So that far out.
Would this replace an existing?
So this would add to our, we would then probably request to get rid of one. This would replace one of the ones that we have that has aged out. And we don't use it much at all because there is holes in the body, and we don't want to obviously be having any fluids coming out of the trucks. So it's replacing that truck.
So we okay with the funds to make up the difference?
So right now, the capital account has $160,000 in it, which would have covered the original estimate, but the refuse department account has funds in it to support the purchase still.
Then I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and purchase it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And so, last meeting, we had talked about using the CDBG funds for what our options were for using the funds. I haven't heard anything about whether the 2023 funds have come in yet, but they're supposed to be coming in right now. We cannot use the funds for the rec park handicap playground equipment because of it being in the flood zone. So that wipes that whole part out. We are allowed to use it for the paving down there, but we can't use it for the tennis courts, anything that's pre-existing down there, basically can't use it for because of the flood zone. But Tyler put together a package here on the options to use it for there's a grant opening up for the Victory Park boat launch. And so it's a 50% match. So if we can apply for the grant and get the grant for the boat launch, which is around $60,000, they're estimating the cost for that would be, and then take the half of that from CDBG, and then use the other half to do the paving down the parking lot. So Tyler does have information.
Can you pull that up?
Yeah.
So I got 3 different quotes for paving Cherry Street down to the lot and the lot itself. The 3 numbers that came in from Cherry Street, one was $36,000. That $36,000 was just putting an overlay over the existing material, putting a top coat on. It's gonna look pretty for 2-3 years, and then all of the cracks and everything is gonna work its way up through. So that's just a complete overlay. Obviously, it's only $36,000. The other 2, M&J and GEI, which is Gatilius, which is doing the parking lot down here, they gave me quotes of milling the street down at least 1.5 inches, putting any base repair, and then putting a top coat on that road. So of the 3, the $36,000 is just kind of a Band-Aid fix for a short time. The other 2 is getting down to the base and building back up at that point. So obviously, it's your wishes of how to do it.
Did we take off the north alleys?
I have a separate number for that.
Okay.
Outside of that, but if we did seal coating of the big lot, it's $10,650. So it's, you know, do you want a Band-Aid fix for a couple years, then go through, I think these folks are CDGB people, gurus, so I'll let them.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So Tyler Dombrowski with CEDACOG was here a couple months ago, and have Carol High with me, who's taking over CDBG duties for Mifflin County. So Carol has had quite a bit more discussion with DCD. So just going back to the agenda, that is correct about the playground equipment. Unfortunately, in the floodway, there are parts of the park in the kind of the northern and eastern side of things. That's not the floodway, it's just the floodplain. We think we would be okay in those areas if you wanted to do something. But CDBG is governed by 24 CFR 55, which is essentially all the requirements that HUD has on doing work in the floodplain and floodway. And so DCD's come back and told us we can't do anything that's up on the screen up there. With the caveat that if we were going to do like the parking lots or something like that, it would have to be an impervious surface, which is going to be significantly more than what you have up on your screen. That's for the floodway. Or pervious surface, yes, thank you. So, is that really an attractive option? I mean, that's up for council to decide, but it would be significantly more expensive. As far as what our paving options really are, it would have to be limited to just the floodplain, or anything that's not even in that, which is pretty limited at Rec Park. So, just going back to what you have on your agenda, and what the 24 CFR 55 states, work in the floodway is pretty much limited to what are called functionally dependent uses. And so essentially that translates to anything that has to be by a body of water in order for it to work, like a bridge or a fishing dock would be a good example of something that's functionally dependent, but otherwise we're pretty limited. One thing that they did tell us was allowable was handicap accessibility improvements would be okay, but again, I don't really know if that's an attractive option to council or not.
But we can use it for the boat, to match the boat.
That's what they've told us, so, and that would seem to be a functionally dependent use in
But
my
isn't the
opinion.
boat launch in the flood zone?
Right, but it meets the definition of a functionally dependent use.
And you haven't heard anything yet about our 2023 funds? Are they available?
So, the county does not have the grant contract set up yet, it's been approved, but we're in limbo right now, yes.
So would we be able to start a project this year using those funds?
So DCD has a pretty hard policy on what are called pre-award costs. So they don't want us starting construction projects until we have all of our funds in hand. Now, if the borough wanted to start working with its engineer or somebody like that to further develop the scope of this project and start taking care of permitting and those sorts of things, yeah, I think we could be doing that kind of thing.
And we can use the funds towards the paving, this portion.
If it's not in the floodway, which most of Rec Park is in the
So
floodway.
anything else in the borough, we can use that funds for that.
If you have to be able to qualify it as low to moderate income benefit.
We have that, okay.
Well, it's gonna depend on a street by street basis. In a lot of cases, the answer is gonna be yes, but, we're not gonna be able to do paving on like the nicest part of town, put it that way.
Which part of town?
I said, whatever you have is the nicest part of town.
Yeah, we're looking at an area that we need to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So Tyler, I have a question on that GEI quote.
Yeah.
Did that include milling on that quote?
It did, yeah.
Okay.
Tyler, is all Cherry Street flood, is that considered the whole thing, considered?
I would have to double check the maps, but
Majority of it is, yes.
and I believe the community center itself.
The
is
last
in the
lady
floodplain.
was here
Community center is.
from CEDACOG, thought that was okay.
I thought she said we were okay doing the paving, just not the.
So we had further we had a meeting with DCD on it to discuss what were the borough's options, and we were told that they were not gonna let us do the paving.
Talking about the paving too, okay.
Yeah.
Now, could we do it ourselves?
Yeah, if you keep us out of it, you help yourselves.
Yeah, we'll keep the government out of it.
Yeah, that's a lot of times a good idea.
Yeah.
Council wanna table this till we look into it more, or what? No. Just one after.
I did, if you want the number, I do have the number for that alley.
Yeah, what is that?
So when he quoted it from the alley that's running parallel to Valley.
Yep.
From that point, the whole way to the top, and that was a complete mill with I think he was just putting a 19.5, so it had some bigger stuff in it, and it was like a 35,000 for that whole alley. So, at least you have a number.
Yeah.
That's doing the entire alley top to bottom.
Firehouse.
And be from the cross up, and that's where all that water comes from.
It sounds like, but we don't have the funds yet, so.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
You have a number.
Yep, thanks. Move on to
Well,
seven.
that also goes along, so the boat launch, the boat ramp, the PA Fish and Boat Commission has their grant, it's a 50% match, with the idea of using the CDBG money for the other half of it. I don't know if we can just, to apply for the grant.
I think we should apply for the grant, so obviously if you can get 50 cents on the dollar. The other thing is, DCNR has recreation grants open in the spring, so we may be able to have their grant be the 50% match to the boat ramp upgrade. But yeah, so the fish and boat is open through, I think the end of November. So we'll work with Tyler and Ben to get some ideas for that, get an application together.
Need a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to proceed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Rec board.
What did you say that the complete by grant?
November 30th or so, 15th or the 30th. Yep. Did you guys have anything else for me for this evening? I don't think.
I think we're good, thanks.
All right, yep, take care. Yep.
And then the last thing I have on here is, the rec board, it was just requesting some modifications to their board. So they had proposed that, add the administrative secretary as Caitlin, can't ever say her last name.
Wow.
Wow, sorry. Do you want all three of them together?
Yeah, you might as well
Community
do that
center,
one.
I don't know if you're calling it community care leader, I wasn't quite sure about your wording.
Community center coordinator.
Community center coordinator, as Lacey Stoner, and then to remove Aaron Wilson from the board.
Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Phew, and that's all I have.
Any public comment at this time?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I just recently moved here.
Name and address, please.
Thank you. Aldwin Santana, 5 Woods Lane. Okay, I just recently bought a house here. I'm getting to know the neighborhood. This is a great place. I noticed that I just heard about the sewage. I noticed that like just the drain on like my house is slow, and I noticed it under the house. Is that related to what's going on here, or is it something that I should need to check independently?
Zeke, you know what he's addressing?
Oh, we'd have to check your house independently and stuff, but we were just talking about the whole town there for
Yeah,
sewage.
I heard sewage, I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure, like, how to address it. Like, is there a person to talk to, for example, if I wanted to understand, like, how the sewage works under my house? As a contact person?
Are you having a problem?
It's just slow, I just wanna know, like, I heard sewage, I wanna know if it's something that I need to further, like, save money to fix in the future or something like that.
Well, I'll talk to you here then, that way.
think he's squared away.
Anybody else at this time? Okay, we're going to go into executive session for some personnel and legal matters, and we will be coming out with some actions that will take place. Do we have a motion on the floor?
We do have a motion on the floor. We make a motion to hire Tyler Fink as our new borough manager.
I ask you to repeat that.
Sure. I'm making a motion to hire Tyler Fink as our new borough manager.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Do
welcome.
we have a second?
Second.
Oh, wait, you want all that?
Yeah.
The salary will be 72,200.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Bob Barlett,
Yes.
Steve Knutson,
Yes.
Scott Gutschall,
Yes.
Jim Still,
Yes.
Matt Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Knutson.
Yes.
Is there anything else that has to become part of meeting this evening? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
We're adjourned.